Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. What makes someone love where they grew up? As regular listeners of the pod will know, it wasn't me. In hindsight, I look back and wonder if I could have been kinder to where I grew up. But ultimately, a sense of place is deeply linked to the things going on in our lives when we lived there and how it made us feel. Did we feel safe? Did we feel a sense of belonging? Did we see our futures there? I find a strange comfort in meeting people who want to be where they grew up. It wasn't for me, but I like knowing that these people are out there. They're often the cornerstones of their communities, the biggest cheerleaders, the holders of knowledge, the ones who make sure it's still a nice place to visit when the rest of us, the fair weather fans, bother to pass through from time to time. When you meet one of these people that just lives for and loves where they grew up, it's infectious. It often comes with stories of close-knit families, shared passions with parents, a sense of belonging and comfort. Evan Lovett has kind of become the poster child of repping where you're from. LA's biggest cheerleader. He's the creator of LA in a Minute, the viral social media sensation sharing snapshots of different LA neighborhoods and points of interest in a way that is truly celebrating the city where he was born and raised, and where he's now raising his son. With his successful pod, In a Minute with Evan Lovett, Evan has managed to wrangle the most prominent politicians in LA, from Mayor Karen Bass to former mayoral candidate and real estate developer Nick Caruso, to almost all of LA's council members. He's managed to find a new way to champion a place he deeply loves, calling attention to the people who have made history here, from athletes to artists, and holding stewards of the city's resources accountable for what they've promised to deliver. This is a sprawling conversation that in some ways makes you feel like you've traveled the world with Evan, but in reality, you've been in LA the whole time. Enjoy. Okay. Evan, welcome to the closet.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So you know what we do here.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some things that people know about you.
Okay.
That are like, you're a valley boy. You ride for the valley.
Right.
Born and raised, barely ever lived outside of LA.
Right.
Aside for a few years.
Okay.
But here we're gonna get into it, the details of like what that actually looked like for you.
Okay.
In terms of growing up.
Yeah, let's do that. Right.
And also, I don't know about you, but I find it kind of uncomfy to talk about myself because you spend all day talking about other stuff.
It's funny
It's
you say
a little
that.
different for you.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because it is easier to ask other people questions and interview and do research than it is to kind of talk about yourself. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Buckle the fuck up, dude. All right, so born in where?
Oh, we're going. Okay, yeah, okay. You're launching into it. Born in Van Nuys. Speaking of the Valley, absolutely. Van Nuys Valley Press Hospital, to be specific.
Okay. Does that hospital still exist?
It does still exist, although I have to say in the 2010s, it really went downhill. My dad was, both of my parents got sick, but that's a different story. Well, I guess we'll get into that.
Oh, you sure will, unfortunately.
It was terrible. Sorry, Valley Press, but when we went there, honestly, and maybe it's improved, hopefully it's improved post-COVID, I don't know, but I used the term at the time, this was in 2017, that it felt like a third world hospital. Jeez. And in fact, we unfortunately just took a trip. No, we just took a trip to Mexico. Unfortunately, we had to end up in a hospital for my son's foot. Everything was okay. But that hospital actually was better and more professional than Valley Press in the mid-2010s. Sorry, Valley Press, hate to say it. I rep you, rep Van Nuys, was born there. But again, hopefully it's improved since then. Yay, Valley Press.
But you know what? Like sometimes when you love something, you actually want it to be better, which is also part of your thing, right? Like I know that you increasingly have been talking to politicians and stuff.
Dude, absolutely.
And that's because you love where you live.
Yes,
so sometimes when you love something, you do need to be critical.
Yeah, true. And I'm, known as a quote-unquote cheerleader, but This year has been very eye-opening in a lot of ways in Los Angeles, so I don't want to be that naive head in the clouds cheerleader, so you have to address some things head on, because LA's definitely had some challenges this year.
But I do think it helps when a politician or somebody who's working on some pretty tricky issues is talking to somebody who they know is rooting for them to succeed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why, you know, the Karen Basses, the Rick Carussos, people are happy to talk to you because they know that you have LA's best interests at heart.
I think so, / I hope so, although there are some that are...
cagier?
Cagier, good way to put it. I do not see eye to eye. Like, I've had direct interactions or worked with 12 of the 15 city council people. And of those, there are probably about 2 or 3 that I'm not at odds with anybody, but I don't support a lot of their policies, and
I think
they know that, yeah.
I think it's also like, you can't support everybody's policies.
Correct,
That's why
including the one that happens to be in the district that represents my house.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
So that's one that I don't see eye to eye on a lot. She's great. She's absolutely incredibly intelligent, articulate, dynamic, charming, but politically we don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues.
Not simpatico.
Yeah.
Not simpatico.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were born in Van Nuys.
Yeah, so I was born in the hospital in Van Nuys.
Oh, sorry, you were born in the hospital in Van
But
Nuys.
here's a good story for you. This might explain something. I'm an only child. When I was born, I had this condition, I forget what it's called. To be very blunt about it, it's where you swallow, meconium?
Yeah.
And so I had to be flown in a helicopter to Children's Hospital before my mom could even hold me in her arms. So I spent the first few days at Children's Hospital, but my parents' home was in Sepulveda, which is now known as North Hills. So I grew up there, lived in North Hills, loved it, graduated Monroe High School at 16, went to UCLA, lived at home for 2 years because my parents didn't want me to move out till I was 18. But to be honest, I wasn't ready either.
Yeah.
I love my parents. They were super cool. They were hippies and totally like relaxed and let me do whatever. So I wasn't in a rush to move out, although commuting sucked. So when I was 18, I finally moved out. But yeah, I spent the first 18 years in Sepulveda / North Hills.
I mean, obviously you don't remember that happening to
Heck
you.
no, yeah.
But if your mom was here, I would be like, what the fuck was that like for you to be in that situation?
Probably pretty traumatic, yeah.
I mean, you know, you had a kid come into the world.
Yeah,
Could you imagine just like the people rush in and...
I didn't even like when he got circumcised, to be honest. so there you go. You're in that kind of crying and screaming, and that's a, quote, normal thing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you said your parents were hippies. What were they both working when you were growing up?
Yeah, they both worked. So my mom was an RN. She worked at a time at Valley Press, by the way, but she was kind of all over. And the sort of joke was like she'd stay at a hospital for 2-3 years and then go on to something different. She was like ahead of her time as far as like career hopping or job hopping, you know. My dad worked for the state of California for, let's see, like 74. He was probably there for 30 years. Like he got the gold watch, the whole deal, but he was a big hobby guy. So, and his hobbies were passions that he was really into. So he was a boxing manager actually during the 80s. So we spent a lot of time in Vegas. We'd go to Vegas every month. I have great memories of Vegas developing, and I consider Vegas LA's backyard. I mean, it's everybody's road trip, whether you're 21 or had a fake ID before 21, even growing older, great place to be. So I've seen Vegas grow and develop, and I have a lot of thoughts on how that actually has mirrored kind of Los Angeles's astronomical growth out of nowhere, because believe it or not, people thought Los Angeles would never be a major metropolis. And then people sure as hell did not want to believe that Vegas could be anything other than the Strip. But Vegas has turned into a lot more. Yeah. And so I have a real soft spot for Vegas. And yeah, they both worked and they both set a good example.
And you said they were pretty chill.
But behind closed doors, they were very chill. Man, so they'd smoke weed.
I like how you were deciding whether or not you're going to say it. It's like, we're in California now.
Well, I was like, which direction should I go? Because here's the truth. I never really got disciplined. I was like... And it's weird, and I guess we'll get into this with my son. I was always like highly motivated, right? Yeah. I wanted to get good grades. I wanted to like finish my tests first. I wanted to get like 99s on all the like standardized tests. I loved reading, loved doing homework, super like, but not, I mean, yeah, probably nerdy too, but also like a sports kid.
Yeah, but you're like sports obsessed, right? You love sports.
You know, it's funny. I grew up sports obsessed beyond belief, like myopic. That's all I cared about. I wanted to be a pro baseball player. Spent 95% of my allowance money on baseball cards. When I wasn't doing school stuff, I was working on baseball stuff, trying to get better. I like really wanted to be a pro baseball player, always practicing, always working, always playing. But now, ever since I worked in sports, I was an intern for NBC in the late 90s, and that was the first time that I saw sort of behind the curtain, like, honestly, what a dick a lot of the athletes are. And then it also started hitting me as I get older, like how spoiled, overpaid, and I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but sort of distant. I can't say I distant myself because I still love the Dodgers, but now
You're
I
disenchanted
see
with
more,
the whole...
not even disenchanted, like there's more to life and there's more to worry about and to waste your mental energy on. So it's kind of funny because I'm still in all these fantasy leagues and I still but we go to maybe 3 Dodger games a year, kind of cost prohibitive, but I used to go to one every homestand and want to go to more. I used to watch every single Dodger game on TV. Now, if we're not doing anything and if we're home, it'll be on the background.
Do you think that changed before your son, or was
it
that
started
after?
changing? It started changing before Felix, but now it's just, I don't know. It also is, I have a lot more to do. I don't know. It's just not as important. I don't know how to say it otherwise. I love it. I represent it. But even put it this way, even between last year and this year, last year I used to do a lot of Dodger coverage. And even on Twitter, which isn't really coverage. Twitter, you can just kind of tweet your thoughts or
It's X now.
Sorry, you're right. X. But now I don't even care. And last year I was like kind of doing my stream of consciousness throughout the season and getting good response. But now I'm like, who cares? Like, I don't need to get my thoughts out there for everything that's going on with the Dodgers. So I was absolutely a sports obsessive. Now I'm a sports fan, represent my LA teams hard, but I don't care as much as I did.
Yeah. When you're hanging out with your guy friends, what are you guys talking about?
It's a funny question and kind of a sore subject in the sense that I've become, and this is going to turn into a little bit of a therapy session.
I'm ready.
But so dedicated to LA in a Minute right now, and In a Minute with Evan Lovett, the podcast, that I spend every waking hour that I'm not with Irene, my wife, or Felix, my son, or Bams, Nora, and Zoe, our 3 dogs, working on that stuff. And this is a weird thing that I probably do need to go to a therapist to. I'm very, and if anybody's familiar with my work, I'm pretty prolific with my output. Like I do a lot of, because I feel that there's so much to cover in Los Angeles and so much history that needs to be highlighted, and legacies and American dream stories, and now businesses are struggling. So I want to cover it all because it's all important and we should be aware instead of wasting our time on all this bullshit that we just all waste our time on. But I don't hang out with my friends as much as I used to, right? And this is why Little League was so important, because it gave me, you know, my son's playing ball, and then you have the friends at the Little League, and that was super awesome. But perfect example, today I just got an invite next Thursday, like boys' night, let's go hang out. I'm like, dude, I could be working that night. Like, that's my free time to like start working on editing and do all this stuff that I need to catch up on. And it sucks because these are close friends that I've been friends with for 20 years, and I don't see them like I used to. I see them probably 3 times a year, this group, and I'm like, I should go, but they want to hang out in Negura. I'm out here in Studio City. I'm like, it's going to be minimum 4 hours. And look, it's cathartic. It's fun. I love these guys, but I'm so just like hyper focused on producing all this Los Angeles content, creating a legacy with it, that I'm like, man, that's 4 hours that I should be working. And so it's like this.
You feel like a real urgency.
Yes, I feel an urgency, and also this total like therapy thing. Every male in my life, every male in my lineage has died at a young age. My dad died at 66. He was the longest living male, Lovett.
Wow.
So I'm always like, how much time do I have? And I want to cover like every one of these stories, every one of these business. So much history, so much fun, like stuff about Los Angeles, the city where people never focus on the history and culture, because we're always the city of tomorrow, the city of the future, the city of celebrities and all that bullshit. But there's so many layers and so much evolution that has gone into making Los Angeles the greatest city on the globe. 10 million people here can't be wrong. And, you know, it's every single ethnicity, every single country is represented, 240 languages in 573 different neighborhoods, more Koreans than anywhere outside of Korea, more Thai people than anywhere outside of Thailand, Mexicans, Salvadoreños, the list goes on. and it's here in Los Angeles. So why is that? And all those cultures have contributed, and they all have stories that have not necessarily been highlighted throughout the times, and they've all left these legacies. And I'm like, I'm sort of taking it upon myself to kind of tell all these stories as well as I can, and as
dare I say, that's a lot on your
can.
shoulders, my guy.
I know. That's when my wife was like, dude, it's got to be so crazy, how hard to be you. I think she says it's sort of
where's your small violin?
Yeah, like, yes, thank you, because I walk around all the time like stressed out and like worrying about what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to get to cover all this stuff, because I don't want to relax. I don't want to stop. I have a very unhealthy relationship with downtime. Like whenever it's like I'm relaxing, I feel like I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
And that's like an unhealthy like way to be.
But I think
that's
also the nature of being your own boss. Is like
True.
like when I feel that way now in this chapter of professional life, but like when I was first starting out as a journalist out of college, and you know, you're broke as fuck, and at the time I was freelancing, it was like any minute that I was having fun, I was like, okay, let me calculate that into this foregone stories that I could be getting paid for.
Yes.
And it's just like really hard to take vacation, and it's really hard to relax.
We have a 6-day vacation out of the country coming up, which
you're stressing.
Again, I should be so my wife's from Mexico. Well, she's not from Mexico. Her family's from Mexico. Zacatecas. It's a little pueblo called Huanusco, 1,200 people. I went there a couple times when we were younger. It's awesome. I mean, it's a different change of life, because again, we're talking a pueblo in the very middle of Mexico, not a major city. Closest major city only has 20,000 people. So we're talking slow pace of life, but it's beautiful and the food is awesome. And it's one of those things that when you go, you feel cleansed and you're like, oh yeah, humanity's not all bad. And like, there are places where you can appreciate what really is important about life. But I'm looking at it on the calendar. I'm like, this is 6 days that I'm not going to be able to do work. And it sucks to think about it like that, because I really should cherish it. And Felix, you know, it's going back. It's the first time he's going to be old enough to like really appreciate and see his roots. And like, you know.
How old is he now?
11. So it's like a perfect time where he is going to remember it. And it's really important. That's where his grandparents like immigrated from. And you see the family and their old homes and all this kind of stuff. But so, yeah, I need to really be able to work on some sort of balance in that regard. Yeah.
I mean, your parents smoked that weed for a reason, man. They were working really hard.
You know, it's funny because I always wonder where it came from, because neither of them was like that.
Well, and going back to just you saying like you really wanted to get the good grades and you really wanted to do all of this stuff, it doesn't sound like they were the ones that were like imposing that.
Listen, I got grounded once in my life. And it wasn't even for grades. It was because I got used. I'm a talker, obviously. I don't know if anybody remembers. Report cards out here in LA, they used to give you a grade, like your A to F. The middle one was like your work ethic. Did you do all your homework, basically? And the third one was behavior. So I'd always get U's in behavior because I would talk in class, nonstop talk in class. So one report card, I got straight A's, but I got 6 U's. And my dad was pissed, and he was like, that's disrespectful, it reflects on us, blah, blah, blah. But he'd be like more pissed about that than the grades. And that was like the one time I ever got grounded.
Did you stop talking in class?
No, but I found a way to like be more charming, like with the teachers. So I at least get like S's and be like more respectful and not talk over them and stuff like that. But I don't think I can stop talking. You can ask my wife and son about that one. But I don't know, man. They were awesome, and we had such a good relationship. I don't want to say it this way because I had look, in college, you know, I had some fun. After college, definitely had a lot of fun. But I never like needed that kind of discipline instilled, because I was just always like, I know what I need to do. And I tell this to my son where I'm like, do all the shit you need to do, and then you get to do all the stuff you want to do.
Yeah.
And so that was my attitude, where I'm like, man, like, here's your list. I was a big list guy. Like, always list. So I'd look at it and I'd be like, just hammer it out. Just run through it. And once you're done with the list, now you get to go play and have all kinds of fun.
How does Felix take that?
He's not exactly that kind of kid. He's a well-balanced kid where he does his work. He's not in a rush to do it. Sometimes he needs a little nudging. Definitely does not like when I hammer him with the what I call discipline, or you need to be disciplined. He's just cut from a different cloth, right? He's a skateboarder. So if that
no
means
more.
anything to anybody, they're a different breed, and they sort of march to be their own drummer. He's also Scorpio. I'm not a big...
That's how we know you're really from California. You just threw out his astrological sign.
Okay, so this is... All right, listen. I'm not like this huge astrological guy, but I have to tell you, I noticed a pattern where most of my friends and growing up girlfriends or girls I date or girls that I would connect with were Tauruses. And I was like, that's so weird. I'm a Virgo. It couldn't be a coincidence. My best friend and my wife are born on the same day. It can't be a coincidence. You know what I mean? So like, I don't read the books. I don't get into the depth of the sign, but I am a full believer that there is chemistry between certain signs and lack of chemistry between other signs.
Great.
And Scorpios, by the way, the ones that I've known, including my son, will sting you, and then they will love you, and then they will sting you, and then they will love. So he's very much a Scorpio and a skateboarder, and that's...
I think my husband's a Scorpio.
Is it?
What is that, October?
It's like
October?
late October to early November,
My
yeah.
husband's a Scorpio.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So there you go. Be careful with the Scorpios.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very passionate.
He's like
when
scared
they turn
to
it
tell
on.
people that he is one because he feels like they get a bad rap. The Scorpios.
I mean, so I'll leave it.
He's a creative, passionate dude.
There you go.
Okay, so you're cut from a different cloth from your parents.
Yeah.
We love to talk about birth order on this podcast.
Yeah.
You're an only child.
Only child.
What do you think are like the most prevalent stereotypes of only children, and do you think you fit the mold?
Great question. I've thought about this a lot historically because only children are typically spoiled, check, are usually assholes. I like to think I'm not an asshole. I mean, there's a lot of baggage with being that only child, right? You're selfish, you're self-centered.
I'm going to flip the script on this.
You don't need to share. What? Go on.
I think that they're also incredibly loyal friends because...
Thank you. Okay.
Only children have to build their family. They have to build their peer group in a way that siblings don't.
So my friends are my brothers, and again, sorry that I don't hang out with them anymore.
Just fucking go on Thursday, dude.
That was how I know. That was how I grew up. Where it's like, and my wife tells me to this day, she's like, you keep in touch with more people than anybody I've ever known, and I do. I had speaking of lists, I had a list of everybody's birthday. I would always make sure to literally call people on their birthday. Friends are very meaningful and help me, develop, and very important to me because I didn't have any brothers or sisters. So I'm glad you flipped the script like that because there is a lot of baggage for only children. I'm surprised that, not surprised, but I'm glad to see that you come with the positive angle of that because I could tell you this, in Little League coaching, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing amongst the coaches where like, oh, he's an only child, which means like, oh, that kid's like going to be an asshole or a problem.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, that's super. Well, and Charlie Curtis is also an only child.
Correct. He's awesome though.
But he similarly incredibly loyal friend and feels really strongly about like building his community and being part of something bigger.
True.
And he, I know, is also super involved in Little League. But it's interesting to hear that the coaches are talking about the birth order of the kids. Or
only child is the big one, yeah. Because, and going back to birth order, my wife is one of three. She's the youngest.
Shout out to the youngest of three.
Are you? So it's funny because we've talked about her oldest is the brother, her middle is a sister, and like they fit the so-called stereotypes of older and middle children. So I'm a believer in that.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in that.
Well, I mean, whatever. Things have to shape us. We're not just like born as an innate thing. Like, it's the nurture and the nature. It's both things.
There you go.
But then also you clearly liked your experience of being an only child.
It,
like you are glowing about your parents, effusive about them, effusive about your childhood. It says a lot about your childhood that you like love where you grew up. And that like, so much so that you've dedicated your current chapter of your life's work to highlighting
for sure
where you live.
Right.
So not everybody has that. And then also you have an only child.
Correct.
So clearly it worked for you.
It worked for me. I don't know if it works for everybody. And again, I thank my lucky stars that my parents were who they were. Because I know that there's a lot... I didn't even know trauma until I was older, and that's crazy because I grew up in this bubble of life where everything, or at least my parents shielded me. And honestly, like I don't have many bad memories from like being a kid. Like I said, parents were super supportive. I was like, I won a poetry contest, a spelling bee. Like, I have stupid, like, little memories like that where I was like 6 baseball all-star. Like, I love my childhood. And maybe that is why I love LA so much, is because I have like all these positive memories of it. My parents driving around the city. They didn't just stay landlocked, which a lot of people in LA tend to do. By the way, you stay in your own neighborhoods, go explore this city. Please go everywhere.
2 weekends ago was my first weekend of really making an effort. It's mainly just like schlepping the kids. Because, you know, like especially with the, like at the stage where I am with especially the 2-year-old. I mean, she's so chill and like happy to do stuff. But it's like, okay, then you gotta think about the nap and the diapers and like, can I get to Culver? Like my cousin lives in Culver. Can I get to Culver and back before the nap time, or then the bedtime's gonna be fucked up and the kids are gonna be demons and like, you know.
Okay, that's a different story when you have those kind of obligations, because
but also like I could chill the fuck out. I like plenty of people just chill the fuck out and live their lives.
That's true.
I just don't have that level of chill. I'm working on it.
Me and you both then. That makes 2 of us. But no, so yeah, I mean, like there was a time where I wished I had like more, it was stupid, but I wished I had more childhood trauma, because
it makes you
makes better stories and it makes it interesting and all this kind of stuff. And again, like to a certain point, I'm like, okay, I guess I was like sheltered and never like realized this. And you know, you read or you watch movies, but it's not the same thing. But no, and then...
But that's not a stupid point, and I also think that, especially now, like, things are bleak in our world right now. Like, we can just say that comfortably, and also things have never been better in some ways.
Right.
It's a confusing time. But for kids, if we think about, and, like, this might be changing depending on some policy decisions that are taken, but, like, kids are the healthiest they've ever been, we're the wealthiest we've ever been globally, et cetera, et cetera. And kids today, I think, are really trying to find what makes them unique and special.
Yeah.
And often, like, digging deep on your trauma is where people go.
Right.
There's, like, one researcher who calls it, like, the struggle Olympics, where kids are trying to, and adults too, like, trying to find something that differentiates themselves.
Yeah.
Because nobody feels special anymore. If we accept everybody for who they are, then what makes you special? Okay. And everyone wants to be an individual.
Right.
But, like, wouldn't it be great if we all decided, like, I'm going to be exceptionally kind? Like, that's going to be my thing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go out of my way to be, like, the nicest instead of being, like, on the internet being like, you can't say that about people, or, like, I'm canceling you because you know, like, there's ways of being introspective and making yourself special that I don't think we're like really crushing at right now.
You know, I will say shout out to my son's school. He goes to school in Glendale, and because he's in Spanish immersion, and they...
Oh, I've heard of this school. They have like a bunch of different languages, right?
Yeah. Armenian,
German, right?
Yeah, Armenian, German, French, and Spanish. Good job. Yeah. But they focus on kindness, and honestly, kind of to my chagrin, where I'm like, it's got to be on academic. I'm more harsher at academic, but kindness is a big focus. And I will be honest, my son is a very kind and nice kid. We've had parents be like, "Oh, my son fell down, and your son came up and was like, 'Are you okay?' and like helped him up. Thank you for that." And like the kids that he's around from the school are like nice, kind kids. So I'm like, okay, that's at least working. So shout out to Edison Elementary School in Glendale for at least focusing on that, because I thought it was kind of corny, where I'm like, really? Kindness is going to be the focus, not education and getting smarter, but it says a lot. And it is a great human quality. Education, we look at it this certain way. I still kind of look at it in that prism, but we don't know like what really is important from that standpoint. So it's super interesting.
You know what else is tricky, Evan, is like when you put out these videos, and we're going to talk about how we get to LA in a minute, but like when you put out these videos, you get like pretty instant feedback, right? It's like getting a grade. Like, oh, this one did well and this one didn't do well.
Okay.
Right?
I never thought about it like that.
And then you're like not gaming it, but you're like, okay, what do I need to do for the next video to take this so I can get the better grade? Right? It's a lot harder to do that when you're hanging out with your friends.
What an interesting point. Yeah.
So when you're with your friends, like the cup that's filling and the metrics that you can use for like that allotment of time is a totally abstract thing, right? It's super good for you. We know that there's a loneliness epidemic in men long term, not now. I mean, you still have these connections now, but it's like, it's a harder, there's no clear KPI on hanging out with your friends. Whereas like when you post a video, there for sure is.
I've never even thought about this. I hope that that's not the case for me, but it looks
It's
like that
dopamine,
might.
man. I mean, I get it. I do it too. Everybody does. It's dopamine.
Wow,
It's like goes right to our brains.
Terrible. I'm saying for me.
Well, and
I'm saying like that.
for
That's
everybody.
probably pretty accurate, but
For everybody. And also for you, you have the added thing of like, not only do you get the A, but you also get like, there's a financial incentive.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
extra addictive.
oh boy.
Anyway, go hang out with your friends.
Good
on
job.
Thursday.
I should tell him. I'm really just kicking the can down the road on the thread too.
Hey guys, I was in this closet today, and this like absolute stranger told me I should hang out with you. So I guess I'm in.
Dang.
You should
No,
leave
it's
that.
a good idea. And I'm like, can you move it closer? Because it's okay.
Oh
you're
yeah.
right, you're
Well,
right.
no,
I'll
but that's
go.
also fair. Guys, move it closer. Don't make me go to
Thank
Agora.
you. Thank you.
It's far. Okay, so what you loved sports, maybe you're going to be in sports.
Yeah.
Then maybe sports broadcasting.
No, it's funny. I'll give a little story about that. I didn't think sports broadcasting sucked. I got an internship at NBC. I was so sure that I was going to be good at the actual broadcasting part of it. And at the end of the internship, you make like a demo tape that at the time you send off to all these stations around the
Yeah.
country, and hopefully somebody hires you in a small city and
like
you work your way there.
Spokane.
Yes, exactly. So I was so sure that I was going to nail it on the broadcasting tape that during the internship, and anybody who's had an internship knows that you have to be like first to come in, last to leave, work the hardest, get people coffee, do the research, all this kind of stuff. I was like, my shift was 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. I would come in at 7 and leave at 11 even if there was work to do, because I was like, I do not care. I'm just here to
You're just trying to pass the
make my
test.
tape. I'm going to be so good. So at the end of the internship, and there was 4 of us, this is for NBC, and Fred Rogan was the main guy. He was a big deal in LA at the time when local news was a big deal. So we all read this Fred Rogan script, like at his desk in front of the chair. And the first 3 go, and they all do pretty well. And I kind of like talk shit about him in my head. I'm like, all right, now let's see. So I go, I'm doing my read in front of the camera, and I get interrupted from the speaker from above, like the producer, and none of the other 3 of them got interrupted. And so that's bad news right off the. And they're like, could you enunciate more? I had a good vocabulary. I had a damn good vocabulary. I had never heard the word enunciate. I probably was talking fast. I was probably talking loud, but I was obviously not talking clearly above all else. Whatever reason, I never heard that word enunciate. So he's like, can you enunciate? And I was like, damn it. Not only is this bad news, but I don't even know what he's asking. So I was like, okay, in my head, I was like, am I not talking loud enough? Which is ironic because I'm a super loud talker. So I just started talking louder. Anyway, needless to say, that tape was never went anywhere. Sports broadcasting was done. So I didn't think sports broadcasting was like a dead end. I kind of dead-ended myself on that and wasted that internship.
You missed that SAT word.
Yes.
Okay, not going to do sports. Then you got we failed at sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
Then we got into sports writing.
Yeah.
And how long were you doing
So
that
I worked for
for?
the LA Times. So I was a pretty decent writer, which is good. But here goes the spoiled Here goes the spoiled only child thing. You start at the bottom, and again, newspapers were still a big deal at this time. This is the turn of the century, 2000. But so you start at the bottom. I was covering like women's volleyball at USC, or high school golf in Orange County, high school football in Orange County, and I was working in LA and living in LA. And on Friday nights, as a 21, 22-year-old, spending your Friday nights in Orange County, having to go back to downtown Los Angeles because the internet wasn't what it was now, to write and file your story. And I'm like done working at midnight. And LA is a city that closes early. It's not New York. Yeah. So like by midnight, your friends are like probably already talking about like going home or like where and I was like, I'm not going to go join them at like 12:20, 12:30 at this point. So I was like, this sucks. Like, I felt like entitled where I'm like, I'm better than this, probably, was what I was thinking. And the pay was crap, by the way, too.
Of course.
And I should be covering, like, UCLA or the Dodgers or the Lakers or whatever. So anyway, after that point, I went to the private sector. What does that look like? I lucked out. I thought
the private sector.
I know, I hate that. Thank you for correct call out on that, because that's such a douchey thing to say. But somebody was like, you should go into PR. It's the same thing as journalism, except the hours are better and it pays better. So my first PR job sucked. I worked for this guy who was a total like bad boss. He like threw phones. He'd like had papers. He'd like be like, this report sucks, and like throw the papers back in your face. Like totally that guy. I don't think those guys
caricature.
Like, yeah, like I don't even think those people like exist anymore. But back then there wasn't social media or Yelp or like these sites
they
where you could like
canceled.
Yes. Yeah. So So I was looking for another job. I saw a job that was like sports PR. And I was like, perfect. Best of both worlds. Let's go. I show up at this company. It was called Vendari Group. And it was awesome. Start of a great period in my life. They had that building, City National Building on Sepulveda and Ventura. They were on the 20th floor. I remember going for the job interview. Floor to ceiling windows, McDonald's balls. It had that like .com atmosphere. And this was after the .com bust, but it felt like what I had seen. Startup-y. McDonald's balls. Girl walks by drinking a beer. Like I'm in the interview. She's like drinking a beer in the office. And I was like, this has to be a test. Anyway, long story short, I get the job there and it was an internet advertiser. It was neither PR nor sports. But it ended up being like internet advertising, which was a great career path. Learned a lot.
In like a key pivotal moment.
So the pay was, I hustled my ass off. So I built what was called an affiliate network. That's a whole different topic. But like, it was affiliate marketing. If anybody knows what that is, this is affiliate marketing in its heyday. So there's a lot of money, a lot of action, a lot of fun. And the company was great, but it was neither sports nor PR. But that was like when I went into the private sector, and I did that for the next like 15 years. But I always had this creative need. So I like started a blog about cooking and gardening. It's called Love and Magnolia Gardens because we lived on Magnolia, and I like had this awesome, like we grow all these vegetables and stuff. And like we got into cooking. My wife loves it and all this kind of stuff. And then I had a newsletter for a while, but I always had this itch and need to like do something creatively in the meantime while I was in the private sector.
Well, you was in the private sector. Now, you mentioned that your dad had a lot of hobbies.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you also had a lot of hobbies or have a lot of hobbies.
It's funny. Well, now my hobby is Los Angeles and anything having to do with Los Angeles. But he was a big collector, right? And we went to Vegas a lot. So he collected casino chips, stamps, baseball cards. He was a little bit of the, someone call him, when he and my mom were dating, my mom's mom was like, you're never going to marry this man. He's a track bum, because he'd go to the track and bet on horses and stuff like that. But he ended up owning horses before he was a boxing manager. But he still had like friends in that kind of world. So he'd play a lot of poker, gambling, again, smoking cigars, smoking weed all the time. But he was somebody who was always able to like be interested, have his passions, like stay busy. So
that sounds like you, that part.
Yeah, except he was a master of relaxing, and like he was chill. Everybody who knows him or knew him was like, your dad was so chill. Like he was just like super, and he's 6'5", he was 6'5", 250. So he's like this big dude with long hair. So he looked intimidating as hell. And in his younger days, apparently he was. But like all my friends loved him. Irene, my wife, loved him. My son was like, oh, Grant would miss Grandpa, like stuff like that. So, but he was totally dope. He was able to relax and still be passionate and like have his hobbies. He had a good balance.
Okay, he didn't send that to you, that part.
Yeah.
Now, when does your wife enter the picture?
Oh man, I haven't got to tell this story in a long time, actually. So we actually met at a house party, Valley. We met at a Valley house party in Porter Ranch. It was my best friend's brother's 21st birthday.
Okay.
And it was a house party. I knock on the door. This beautiful woman.
How old are you?
Let's see. So she was just about to be 21 since 03. I was 24.
Okay. Babies.
So she answered the door in a group, like 3 girls answered the door. And I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. And like, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Irene. I'm Evan. And the rest of the party, I remember sitting on the stairs with this other dude, and we were both lamenting the fact that we're too scared to go talk to these girls, right? And meanwhile, his friend was standing with the girls, and I remember seeing them there all laughing and stuff, and I was like, damn it, I wish I could I'm never going to see her again. Oh well. So I walk away thinking I'm never going to see her again. Flash forward about a month later, I go and visit my same best friend, who was now bartender at TGI Fridays in Porter Ranch. And it was a Sunday night, Mother's Day Sunday night. I'd done all my mom stuff. And he was like, come to the bar. Like, I'll give you guys free drinks. We'll play trivia. That's how nerdy we were. We would go play trivia at the bar. And I was like, all right, free couple beers. Why not? Bring my other friend, Jared. We go to the bar. We're playing trivia. It was like 9 o'clock, time to leave. It's a Sunday night.
Mother's Day, Sunday night.
Not a lot of action. And I'm like, all right, Tim, like, we're going to take off now. He's like, no, Gabby's coming. Just stay for one more drink. Gabby was this girl that I'd known in college. That was Tim's good friend. We didn't like not get along, but I didn't like love. Like, She found me annoying. I thought she was like kind of like whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm definitely going now. I don't need to like spend another hour with Gabby. I was already ready to go home. And he's like, no, I'll give you another beer. I was like, ugh, like maybe. And then he gets on the phone again. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, and her sister's coming and it's her birthday. And I was like, great. Now I'm going to see Gabby, mini Gabby, and I'm going to have to pretend like I'm interested because I don't want to be an asshole on this girl's birthday. This is so stupid. I'm definitely out of here. And he's like, dude, don't be an only child asshole. Like, get out of here. Like, stay here, stay here. So luckily I stayed because it turns out Gabby's sister was Irene, the same beautiful girl I'd seen at the house party the month prior. And I was like, oh, sweet.
I hope you and Gabby are tight now.
Oh, we're super cool. I love Gabby. Mad shout out. Best sister-in-law I ever could have dreamt of. She's always there for me, there for the family. Great Tia to my son. Dog lover.
I'm just dying. You're like, oh, Gabby.
No, that was the reaction. I was like, now I definitely have to. But now she is awesome. But and she married an awesome guy, Dave. And my nephew, Max. They're great. And the dog, Hefe. Shout out. Awesome dog.
Great name for a dog.
So anyway, me and Irene like hit it off. Irene and I, we hit it off. And honestly, her surprise birthday party was the next weekend. And that's where we really like connected and like had since then been inseparable and fell in love. And yeah, now we're going on 20 years of marriage in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you guys both know that you wanted to have kids?
I mean, yes. That's an interesting question. I don't know that we need to have. Yes,
it's just what was done.
I for sure did. I for sure did. She's a big population control, not population control. Sorry, she's big on the world is overpopulated. There's so much stuff. There's so much trash. There's so much waste. There's so few resources. There's so many hungry people. Why does everybody keep having kids?
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why we only have an only child. I would have more kids. I've told her, we've had this discussion. She's like, great, you have it then.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. So like, honestly, like we've had that discussion many times and she's like, no. And it's definitely her decision.
Yeah.
But she, I think she definitely wasn't the person that was like, I'm not going to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we weren't like, we need to have a kid.
She was very careful and considered about
correct.
How she was moving.
And she married young. She married at, what was she? She was 23 when we got married. Yeah. So she kind of wanted to have a little bit more fun and we didn't rush into having kids. We had Felix 7 years after we were married. So we had some fun.
And how did that change how did that change your life, having this kid enter the picture? Because you guys are having fun. You've got 7 years of marriage under your belt of just like tootling around doing whatever the absolute fuck you wanted.
Tootling, yeah.
A lot of tootling. How do you go from tootling to toddlering?
You want to know the truth? I'm going to be honest. We had an explosive, passionate relationship, which involves all the ups and downs and a lot of therapy and a lot of talking and a lot of like, we're just going to get a divorce. And her parents being like, you can't get a divorce. You need to work it out. Trying to work it out. Multiple therapists, blow up fights, but great, the opposite of that. Like
great makeup.
A lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun in between. But it was explosive and it was like, we were definitely not ready to have a kid.
Yeah.
So what happened is her cousin Lily found a dog in the streets of Fontana. And
this is where the multiple dogs enter the scene. The story of the dogs. Okay,
so
go ahead.
Listen to this. So cousin Lily's awesome, by the way. She lives in Vegas now.
Shout out, Lily.
Yeah. She found a dog in Fontana. She calls us and she's like, hey, my landlord found out I have a dog. We're not allowed to have dogs here. Can you guys watch the dog until I find a new apartment? And I grew up a dog person, dog lover. Irene and I didn't have dogs at this point. And I was like, if we watch a dog, I'm going to fall in love with the dog and you're not getting the dog back. And she's like, ha ha ha, like, just watch the dog for a weekend. I'm going to have a new place for the weekend. And Irene was not a dog person. She didn't necessarily grow up with dogs or anything. She's like, okay, we'll keep the dog in the garage and outside. And I was like, hell no, the dog's coming in the house. And then so we get this dog. Lily named it Bambi. I was like, we're not calling this boy dog Bambi. So I called it Bams, okay. Which was like a good happy medium. And he was the sweetest, rescue dog. And he's so cute and so handsome. And honestly, Irene fell in love immediately with the dog and seeing her around the dog and seeing us and it's going to sound corny and maybe like silly, but honestly, that's when I was like, oh man, I think we're like ready for a kid. Bams totally came in at a time where we were finally getting stabilization in our relationship. and just seeing each other care for the dog and having to, like, you mentioned earlier, like, where you have your kid, you're like, I got to be home in 2 hours, or like, well, it's kind of like that with the dog, where you're like, I didn't want to leave a dog alone, especially like a sad, like, rescue dog, like, he's going to be so lonely, you know, but we both felt the same way, and we started treating Bams like a kid, and I was like, maybe it really is kind of time for a kid. Yeah. And I think, honestly, and she kind of downplays it. She'll hear this right now. She'll be like, stop, like, with the Bam story. But I was like, I honestly think that's when I saw her in the, like, she's going to be an amazing mother. And I knew I was, like, going to be a dad, but I wasn't, like, I need to have a kid, let's go, because I'm so excited to be a dad. But I was like, I think I'm ready. Because, again, caring for a dog, especially here in LA, we take our dogs pretty darn seriously. They're part of the family. It was great training wheels for having a kid. It really was. And again, you can't prepare for having a kid.
No, but it is good practice. And you also learn things like who is in charge of Bam's vet appointments.
Yeah, vet appointments, feeding, getting the food.
But also, like, within that, like, the division of labor starts to, like, show its colors even then.
It's a good point.
I think.
And I got to hand it to Irene. This is something she's always been adamant about.
Are you listening, Irene?
Is a shared division of labor in everything. And, like, at first, maybe I did subconsciously or consciously have these gender stereotypes or roles where, like, the woman's going to wash the dishes and I'm the breadwinner, you know, even though she had her own company. But she was like, no, okay, if I wash the dishes, you're putting the dishes away. You know what I mean? And at first I was like, what? But then I'm like, I guess that's fair. Like, it is fair.
Reasonable, yeah.
Totally fair. And then you clean. Like, she's not going to do all the cleaning. Like, you know, why is that her responsibility? So I'd, like, you know, make up for stuff. And then I fell in love with cooking, which was like a boon for her, you know, like, so like that. So anyway, we have a big, like, division of labor, which is a very important thing when you have a kid. And honestly, the onus is on the mom the most, and the mom does have a more difficult role, not just from birthing, but, like, you know, I feel like the kid needs that closeness, especially as, like, a newborn and a toddler. So I think it's so important, but to take the responsibility and to be like, okay, what can I do? How can I help? And be conscious of that. I think that helps build all of our relationships together, you know, the relationship with our son and our relationship with each other. So,
but it wasn't until Felix was, what, 8 that you started LA in a Minute?
Felix was, boy, that's a great question. He was 8 going on 9, correct. Okay. Absolutely. Nice work.
I Google. Okay, I do some light Googling. Okay, so he's 8. And you have had in the background, you're, like, enjoying your job, but you're missing this creative outlet. Yeah. You're trying the blog. You're trying different things. Yeah,
newsletter. I had a political newsletter, by the way, believe it or not. Yeah.
Well, you know, that makes sense, actually, I think. Yeah. So, and then the genesis of this thing happens where he's really into, like, TikTok videos and stuff during the pandemic. Yeah. And how does that then translate?
Man, so I had this hate relationship with TikTok, of course, as many people do. And, you know, TikTok is evil. I saw what Facebook did to the world, you know, especially the previous election. I was like, you are definitely not being on TikTok. Here, read a newspaper, because I subscribe, to this day, by the way, I subscribe to 2 newspapers, LA Times, Daily News, thank you very much. But he was like, newspaper, people your age don't even read the newspaper, bro. Like, no chance. Just coincidence. And I was like, okay, then you can't be on TikTok. And the rule was, if you want to watch videos like YouTube, you have to learn something, and then you can watch for like 30 minutes. So you need to, like, tell me a fact or something that you learned, and then you can, like, watch for 30 minutes. But it's still trash, because they find trash on YouTube, and they can find trash anywhere. We happen to
find trash anywhere. Children, they can find trash anywhere.
Isn't it the truth, though? So we go to this Christmas party. My wife, you know, she's Mexican. They have huge family gatherings. And I always like hanging out with her cousins and finding out, like, what the kids are up to these days, especially with social media. What's Snapchat about? What you guys still use Facebook? Oh, Facebook sucks. It's only for old people. Oh, okay. You know, at the time. Yeah. And they'd always fill me in with this stuff. And they're like, oh, you're a news guy. I get all my news on TikTok now. And I was like, oh God, the youth is terrible. Like, the future is going to be terrible. Like, but she's like, no, it's like New York Times, Washington Post. She's like, my favorite is this girl who reads news under a desk. Yeah. Right. And I was like, oh man, like, that sounds interesting. But I watched them, like, you know what? If kids are actually getting real news, then I'm all into it. And I was like, ding, light bulb goes off. So I literally go to my office, had the LA Times in front of me, and I'm like, these are like recap 3 stories happened in LA in a minute and put it on TikTok. And I was like, okay, Felix, you want to watch TikTok? This is what you're going to watch. So I could like spoon feed him. He liked it. But more importantly, they got like 1,000 views. And I was at like 1,000. I do it every day. And I got to like 1,000 followers in 2 weeks. To put in perspective, I was an avid, ardent Twitter user because I love news and information and breaking stories. And I had like 300 followers after 13 years. And I was whoa, the power of TikTok is crazy.
Yeah.
But also news isn't interesting every day. And like, how much can you report on like a mayoral race or city council bull stuff? And like, so one day when I walk to work, I walk across the LA River every day. And anybody in LA is like, this isn't a river. Like, it's funny that you call it River because it's a concrete channel that's dry 9 months a year. So, and I didn't know why. I lived here my whole year and my whole life. And I'm like, why is this a river? This isn't a river. I've seen rivers. And so on the spot, I was like, what is the history of the river? Why is it like this? So I put that video together just kind of like off the cuff. And that sort of like blew up. I'm always reading books. I was reading a book called Made in California by George Geary, which is about all the restaurants that came from LA. And I was like, from California. But I noticed all the fast food chains came from LA. It's funny. It's like In-N-Out, Fatburger, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Del Taco, Panda Express, Wetzel's Pretzels. Like, not all of them, but a huge preponderance of them come from LA. So I was like, why is that? So I put together a video, 10 oldest fast food chains from LA. That went like viral, quote unquote. Eater LA picked up the story. And then I started realizing all these things I'm curious about. Like you drive around, you see an old building in LA, nobody talks about it or highlights it. I'm like, what's the story behind this? And everything was like a brief history of whatever the topic was. And that sort of launched into LA in a Minute, which is just me, highlighting the story, most diverse city in the world. LA River almost turned into a freeway. LA River started in the valley, which again, I'm so proud of. I mean, again, I don't want to make it all about the river and stuff like that, but that's just where my mind is right now.
Why do you think people shit on the valley so hard?
That's been something I've wrestled with my entire life. People do shit on the... Not as much anymore, by the way. Valley's finally starting to get some credit. Studio City, shout out. Somebody told me is the, quote, hottest neighborhood in Los Angeles, which was music to my ears. Yes, loved it. Why does the Valley get shit on so much? I guess you're from New York, right? Mm-hmm. So
Florida,
Long Island.
But I spent a lot of time in New York. I had college and stuff.
Oh, Florida. Interesting. Okay, so I feel it's like this. It's like the Valley, you need to go over the hill. The Valley people don't understand because it's the huge suburb and you figure what's out there. There's not the action in the sense that like whether it's Hollywood, downtown, Santa Monica, now Culver City, you have like a hub where the communities are based around, but the Valley is just like sprawl as far as I could see in neighborhoods. And at the time we weren't celebrating like these mom and pop restaurants, and like strip malls have this hugely terrible reputation. The Valley really is. It's like a neighborhood surrounded by strip malls, and like there wasn't a lot of known architecture. It's low slung. There's not the high rise buildings. So it's easy to just look at and be like, okay, a shitload of people live out there and there's nothing interesting. There's no museums. There's no culture. There's no food. But then when you stop and look at it and you explore, you're like, wait, you got the San Fernando Mission. You have Whitman Airport. You have the Soraya near Cal State Northridge University. And you have 1.8 million people from, again, every race and ethnicity, which means there's so many good restaurants, so many good places to eat. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with having a series of like neighborhoods in suburbia. And now it's kind of developed into this place that really is interesting. And when you layer on the history and the culture into it, you're like, oh, okay, like actually the Valley's pretty cool. And Ventura Boulevard is the longest strip of commercial businesses in the entire world. And Ventura's pretty damn interesting. So the Valley's super interesting. And I think now the Valley's starting to have a come up because there's a lot of problems in LA. There are problems in the Valley, but again, it's good to have sidewalks. It's good to have space, yards, grass, pools, people walking their dogs, people interacting and forming little communities. And it really is, they used to say it pejoratively. It's a good place to raise a family, but it is a good place to raise a family and probably the best.
But then those people fucking grew up and needed to raise a family.
This is something I love about the Valley. Go and it's been so clear recently. I'm so impressed. I want to do a story on, but I don't have the answer on like, Why is it so clear? Because it hasn't been this clear since COVID. And before COVID, it hadn't been this clear since 1941 when the smog finally rolled in and never left.
Likely a downturn in economic activity. That's
you think so? But people are still in the car and driving all that. But my point is, drive around the valley. My favorite place right now, and this is far out there for some of you guys, but you go up the 170 to the 5 to the 118. And what it is there's this like interchange where you're like elevated. And when you're up there, you could see the mountains, all 4 of the mountain ranges around the valley. And it's so beautiful. You know what? Better one for everybody. Just go on the 405 or on Mulholland and look at the valley. And you're like, dude, we are surrounded by mountain ranges. Los Angeles is the only city in the United States that has a mountain range running through the city. Not Denver, nowhere on the East Coast. We're the only major city that has a mountain range running through the city. And we have 4 mountain ranges running through the city. And it's a special thing because that texture, that topography against the blue, crisp sky and the light that we have in Los Angeles and the green and all the trees, even in suburbia, the variety of trees makes it so beautiful. And I think in LA, there's so many beautiful places, but when you look at the valley, you're like, this is pretty amazing that they made a metropolis, because the valley is a metropolis, 1.8 million people. That'll be the 6th largest city in the United States. They made a metropolis out of a huge suburb, but it's beautiful with the mountains and the trees and the sky. And so I think the valley's like, valley's so underrated, and it is beautiful, and it's a great place to raise a family to boot. Yeah.
So, and there is your not in a minute case for the valley. Now, you started this project with your son, or like kind of to connect with your son in a way, and now it's taken off on a total life of its own. Yeah. What does he think about the whole hubbub of the whole thing?
You know, okay, I used to say shy. My wife is like, don't say that. No, he's not shy, but he's like...
Reserved?
Reserved, thank you. He's definitely not like outgoing like I am. He does love it. He's proud of it because I know he like wears his shirts. But he also is very like cool. He's cooler than I ever was. So I was a kid who would absolutely wear the shirt of the band to the show. You know, they say you're not. So, he inherently, and probably gets that from my wife, but he's like, a lot of things about him are like too cool for school. So he doesn't like want to celebrate it, but I know he's proud of it because he'll tell me, and then he'll like for him to even like wear the shirt to school is like a big deal. Cause initially he wouldn't, he was like embarrassed or whatever. But, I think that like when I get recognized, cause I get recognized around LA, I think that's something that sort of like resonates with him as far as like, okay, what he's doing is actually important.
People are consuming it.
Yeah. And I think because when people say like, thank you for what you're doing, or like this is so important for LA, it's different than just being like, there's a popular influencer, you know? So I kind of think that it has more of a meaning, so...
And when you think about him, he's entering a very different stage of how he's going to need you guys.
Oh man, I'm nervous, yeah.
And, you know, they say that, like, when kids are young, their feelings are loud. And when they get older, their feelings get very quiet because it goes inside. Yeah. And they're, like, trying to battle their own stuff.
Right.
Do you and your wife ever talk about, like, especially because he's a young boy growing up in this world, like, do you guys... like have strategy? Like, how do you navigate that sort of stuff?
You know, we try to make sure that
you're on the precipice.
We spend a lot of time like that. That's a main priority of both of ours, is to spend time each of us individually with him, and then together, and talk to him and try to get him to talk and share how he's feeling. And he's pretty open, like with us. I mean, he's not a big talker, but he'll tell us when something's bothering him. He'll tell us when something's concerning him. But as far as like a strategy towards the future, I don't know. Like, how do you navigate parenting? Because
I don't know.
You never know what's going to happen. I just feel that if we establish the fact that we have a good relationship, an open relationship, you can come to us, you can talk to us. I mean, look, I know his friends are going to be the priority because that's just how it is. They're going to have more input. And we just hope that we raise them right, show them good values, and let them know that we're here for them and that we support them. And I always try to tell them that I'm proud of them, because my parents would always tell me how proud they are of me. And it meant a lot to me. And I feel that that was something that helped like my confidence. But I think that like being just supportive more than anything and available are the most important things. Although it does worry me that he puts his Apple Watch on Do Not Disturb sometimes, and we need to call him.
Oh my God. Well, I was going to ask you, what's his relationship with technology like?
Okay, it was way worse before he got into skateboarding. Like, it got to the point where we were worried. We were like, you're addicted to the screen. You know, he played sports, but the second sports were done, get home, be the screen. Second school was done, screen. We're like, you're not even allowed to use the screen on like a school day, blah, blah. But it's like, that's what he wanted. And it became like, I see it a lot in kids, a borderline dangerous obsession. But then he found skateboarding, which is weird because I never even touched a skateboard. I'm such a team sports guy. But it's been a godsend from the sense where it's like, I see it in him. He's passionate, he's joyous, he's free, and he's so damn good at it. He's been doing it for 6 months, and he's like doing all these crazy tricks, and people have been skating a long time are like, dude, this kid is really good. But it's like, it's so good to see a passion. Because I used to say, you know, to my wife, I'm like, when's he going to be passionate? Because he did all these things, and he was good. Baseball, swimming, piano, art. And he'd be good, and they'd be like, okay, I'm over it. And I'm like, no, but you're so good, just practice and keep doing it. But he didn't want to. But the skateboarding, it's like a different thing where it's like, dude, he'd rather skate than be on a screen, which is great. And like, that's what he's, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but that's what he's obsessed with. And I like to see it because it's, again, it's athletic, it's outdoors. He has these friends. It's a supportive community. We live right next to Val Surf. Val Surf, by the way, invented the modern skateboard and was also the first skate and surf shop in the United States. So that was pretty cool. So we live right there. Everybody over there knows him. And it's such like a community of people that like embrace him. And I never thought that. I always thought of the skaters as the people who would smoke first, drink first, have sex first, and they intimidated me. And maybe that's still the case, but I didn't know it was such a supportive, embracing community behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I've met some interesting and fun people that way. But now his relationship with technology, look, it's Friday. I do know when I pick him up from school today, he's going to jump on the iPad because the rule is like you can only use the iPad on weekends and only specific. He has his Apple Watch. He likes it. He's not crazy about it. It's good to text with and like it helps him, you know, the money and be able to pay for stuff. We like him being independent. Go to the grocery store. He went to like Fat Sal's by himself the other day or with a friend. But like it's cool to see him like be able to pay stuff and be independent. He's not super into TV. I don't know how many kids are these days, although he loves The Simpsons, which is cool because then I get to watch The Simpsons. But I think there was a while where I was nervous about his relationship with technology, but now I'm like, no, he's pretty good. I'm comfortable with it. Yeah.
That's really cool. So in terms of, I think a lot of people in LA are going to be familiar with what you're doing already.
Thank you. Yeah.
But there are a lot of different ways that people can consume all things Evan.
Yeah.
We're going to put them in the show notes.
Okay.
Your one homework assignment for the show notes, and I don't give people homework assignments, but you're getting one.
Okay, I like homework.
I don't want you to say it on here. Yeah. People have to go to the show notes to see what it is. I want you to think of your favorite fun fact about Studio City to put in the show notes.
That's cool. Okay.
That's my neighborhood.
Okay.
For those who don't live in LA.
I have some good ones.
But this was such a joy. This was like high octane. I definitely don't need any more coffee today.
Okay, good. Yay.
I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to continuing to see the journey. You know what I feel like there could be in your retirement one day?
What? Go on.
Vegas in a minute.
First of all, I'm never retiring. But number two, Vegas in a minute, I just got the trademark on because that is absolutely in my future. So good call there. I
see it.
Dude, Vegas has some awesome... Again, these cities that have history that nobody's paid attention to, it gives you this emotional connection that even if you already love it, you're like, oh my God, now I have that history and that like, it's not just nostalgia, it's more than nostalgia because you understand why it was here, what it was before, and it gives it more meaning and more richness and more depth. So yeah, I love that.
So watch this space.
Yeah.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Mutha, MUTHA.life for a daily look at all things Mutha. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mutha Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.